YouTube about crimping some Anderson Powerpole connectors onto the leads of this multimeter. The reason being, quite often I test the output of power supplies, batteries, etc. on the ham radio side, and it's nice, instead of to use the probes, just to clip the Anderson Powerpole connectors straight in. And on the same note, you can still use the multimeter for normal use with the probes. So what we're going to do, we're going to break the test leads a few inches away from the probes and stick Anderson Powerpole connectors both sides, so it's multifunctional really, if that is even a word. So the tools we're going to use are cutters, strippers, Anderson Powerpole crimps, a flat blade screwdriver to push the pin into the shell of the Powerpole connector, obviously a bag of connectors, so a hot melt gun with hot melt glue. We use this to fill into the back shell because quite commonly with these connectors is the connection is absolutely brilliant, but where there's flexibility on the cable that goes into the back of the plastic shell, and it can move backwards and forwards, sometimes it gets tugged, it fractures on the crimp point of where the wires are crimped in the actual pin. So what I do is I actually assemble the Powerpole connector and then squirt some hot melt glue in there to take the void up and build it up to the top, and it's a reasonable finished. Obviously you're not going to use the Anderson Powerpole connector again after that point, but I think it's worth doing. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do is plug the hot melt in, because that takes time to warm up. And put that in a safe place where it's not going to tip over, it's not going to burn anything. I normally put a little pad or something underneath because the residue will come out of that tip. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is cut our cables, and these cables, remember, in most of my applications I cut them a couple of inches from where the test equipment is, and then I've got interchangeable test leads or power supply leads, etc. But in this instance I want them cut at the probe end. So it's up to you where you cut, but I'm just going to measure and make these the same. So I'm going to say I want my cut 70mm from the end of that insulated probe. So there's 70mm chopped off, and just make the other one the same. 70mm chop. Okay, ruler can go. So the next thing we're going to do is use the strippers strip the wire back. That's a lot thicker there to go into the crimp. I'll be far more happy crimping that up because that will stay. And guess what? We use the crimps. So you insert that into the crimps as per your information. It's very easy to use. You just push them to the back, pull the trigger, and there we have crimps, absolutely solid. So it's just rinse and repeat. Remember, about 17mm, I'm going to do this by eye. Basically, when you push that down, there's a little hole at this end. You should be able to see that touch the hole there. Then you know it's in far enough. As long as most of it's inside, it's good. one's a bit loose, so I'm going to crimp it up on the smaller one. There we are, that's good. And inserting it into the shell, there's a number of ways you can do this. I hold that blade so it's at the top there, and I look through and I make sure that the hole I can see when I'm looking in is also at the top. So both the blade is at the top and the hole is at the top. I push them together. If you've got a rigid enough wire, you can push this, but I always find it's easier to put on a table and use a flat blade screwdriver. Put the flat blade screwdriver on the collar of the pin. Okay, now I've messed this up. Let's try again. So put the flat to the hole that you can see through there. Place it under pressure there, and then with a flat braided screwdriver get the collar of the connector and push it down. And then push and you'll feel it click. Very, very physical click, that's on. So we'll do the same with this one. Very good spiral up, twist it back on itself into the crimp pin. So for the hot melt side of it, all you really need obviously is the hot melt glue gun and the connector shell held upright. So basically pour some hot melt in, let it kind of flow down, and pull the cable back, do the same on the opposite side. You might not be able to do this in one hit, but basically pour some in, let it cure, then pour some more in so that it creates a mountain out of the top, or shall we say a conical shape out of the top onto the cable. Once you're complete, unplug that hot melt gun, make sure you don't touch it for a while, put it somewhere safe. So let's have a little look here at the black ones we've done. So yeah, they're pretty good. It looks like almost like an epoxied connector, but for sure it does the job. So when you finish with the way I've done it, we will have a bucket there full of hot melt glue, cable coming straight out. It's going to reduce the flexing of the cable on the pin and fracturing, and this connector is ready to use, whether you connect it in parallel with the little locating keys, or you do what I do in this application, which is just the extension of a test equipment cable. So that's perfect. And if anything, the hot melt also adds a little bit of strain relief if you yank the things apart without gripping the actual connector. But the Anderson Powerpoles, very good connector, good contacting, self-cleaning. Really, I can't say enough about them. Project complete.
So this video, if you like it, our video, comment down below a thumbs up.
Thanks for watching VA3SII. Bye.